Hello and good day to today's webinar about compliance made easy, how digital solutions minimize the audit hassle in quality control, food industry and production. My name is Philipp Osterwalder. I'm a professional lab technician, studied environmental engineer and the CEO and co-founder of OneLimbs. We consult about laboratory digitalization in quality control, specialized and focused in food with some Lean Six Sigma tools. And we provide our OneLimbs platform as a lab information and management system to centralize all the quality data and handle them in one place to stay compliant and make compliance more easy and reliable, to provide the single source of truth of all the quality data. About today's webinar, let's get into some general information. So the webinar is recorded and we will provide also the recording afterwards on our YouTube channel. If you have any questions through this webinar, you can paste it directly into your comments section, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. And if we don't have time today in the webinar, you will get directly an email with the answer, and also we can book a follow-up call to get into the details of your questions. If you are interested in the presentation slides, they are available on request. Just send us a request on hello@onelimbs.com. This is also meant for any other requests, questions, or if you need more information about laboratory digitalization, LIMS, or lab workflow automation. Get started into our today's topic about compliance made easy and food industry. So introduction about the overall regulatory requirements. Next chapter is challenges in manual inspection processes, what we see and what we face based on our daily experience in QC food labs. How OneLimbs enables inspection process digitalization based on our OneLimbs platform and some other limbs that can do and apply to. And the last chapter is efficiency audit preparation without automating with automated reporting based on case studies. We guided our client through this easy process and onboarding and implementation. Let's start with some key facts from the WHO. So 23 million people only in Europe poisons themselves every year through contaminated food. 1 out of 10 people get ill through consumption of contaminated food. And overall, roughly 4,700 people die in Europe every year because of spoiled food. This brings me to the important question, how safe is our food really? And if you don't believe these numbers, please check them on the website of WHO. The link is on the slides button. And there are even more eye-opening statistics about spilled or spoiled food and food contamination, about food safety. And our overall topic, which we work together with our clients in food production and quality control in food industry, is how we can provide even a better quality and a continuous quality and safe food in production, in supply chain, in storing, and till the shelf and till the end consumer. What's about the significance of compliance for food safety and quality? So let's check here the risk reduction or minimization by meeting defined safety criteria. Consistency in production and consistency in product quality across batches and shipment. And the last point is one of the important: build trust with consumer and clients, often a market differentiator. So that's kind of the basics which has to be right overall and to be fundamental for the food safety. So introduction to the regulatory requirements. Want to give you today a rough overview about the most important regulatory of the food industries. So let's start with IFS, International Features Standards. This emphasizes a product safety and quality, especially for private label suppliers. Then for sure, I think that's a common regulatory thing. It's the ISO 22000, focusing on managing food safety risks across the entire food chain. Then we have the FSSC 22000, which is basically based on the ISO 22000, and it's globally recognized certification for food safety with a focus on the entire production and the supply chain, from raw material through the semi-processed to the final products, which includes every kind of step from the field to the shelves in the convenience stores. And we have the HACCP, Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points, is a systematic concept for ensuring food safety by identifying and controlling hazards during production. One of the most important and most common regulatory standards so far. Good. That's the first four. Then we have the second four regulatory compliance standards. We have the FDA for FSMA, Food Safety Modernization Act, focusing on prevention of contamination in food through stricter requirements for food safety and monitoring, focusing on the United States of America. Then we have the global GAP, is Good Agriculture Practice, is basically a sub-act of GXP, so it sets standards for food safety and sustainability in agriculture and applies to primary producers. Then we have the BRGCS, British Retail Consortium Global Standards, developed to ensure food safety and quality requirements for global food chain. This is basically also separated in a different sub-acts. So there are the global standards, specifically focusing on food certification, packaging, and also on storing and distribution. Then we have the SQF, Safe Quality Food Program, ensure food safety and quality along entire supply chain, and supports consumer confidence through certification. Maybe also some common certification or regulatory standards. Then the second last are more an add-on to these food standards. We have EFSA, the EU regulation, which changed in 2024 and gets a new an act and an adoption, which gets more stricter regulations in 2024, and another act which gets into works in 2026. So if you want to have even more information about that, it would be also nice and interesting for us to hit it in the comment field, so we can prepare, make a separate webinar just about these new regulations on food safety, and EU regulation acts, which gets work in this year and 2026, and would be nice to let us know. So these regulations lays down the general principles and requirements for the United States food law and defines the obligations in food safety about the production. And the last one is the Global Food Safety Initiative. Is clear that not a standard, but an international organization that wants to harmonize all of these pre-shown standards to bring them on one head and provide easy consulting, and also promotes food safety worldwide to make it easier for the implementation and to handle this food safety in production and supply chain. So we saw so far 9 different regulations, and first of all, what these regulations have in common. I want to break this down to make this clear and easy understandable. So all of these ensure food safety for sure. So all standards aim to minimize the risk in food chain and minimize product safety. That's rule number 1 and the overall goal. Hazard analysis and risk assessment like HACCP-based approaches. So most of these regulations based on the HACCP. This is already integrated, or they have similar analysis to identify and control potential risks. The documentation requirements is also a common regulation, all of these. So required detailed and complete documentation with a full traceability, audit trail, and electronic signature to process and check for the overall trace of all the data, controls, and the documentation they provide to each of the production and batches. Process monitoring and controls means strong emphasis on continuous monitoring and control production to ensure the compliance with standards. This is kind of the controlling mechanism to show that all of these standards is required and is controlled and audited. Then the auditings or audits and certifications is all standards required periodic audits. This could be yearly or every 2 years or even every half year. It depends a little bit on the crucial of some points and production and products, or certification to ensure that requirements are met on an ongoing basis. And the last point is the training and the qualification of the personnel, so the training of the personnel and the continuous training of each of the employees, and the qualification required for regular training and qualification for personnel to ensure that all employees understands and can comply with these and those standards. So that's kind of the common page on all of these regulations. And so the next questions would be, so we saw 8 or 9 different regulations. So what's the most important differences overall of these regulations? And we come to this easy breakdown conclusion. So the target market, first of all, and the sector. So we have different kind of BRC is focusing on food safety for retailers and distributors, is mainly focusing on the United Kingdom. And we have IFS, International Featured Standards for retailers and manufacturers, and focusing on Europe. FFSC 22000 and ISO is cross industries, suitable for all areas of food industries worldwide. So that's kind of the global standard for the food production and food safety. And we have the global GAP, specifically for agriculture, for the primary production sector. Next point is the specific requirements and objectives. So that means that the HACCP focusing on the identification and the control of critical points is not a comprehensive certification, to make that clear, but a requirement in many standards. The SQF is an additional focusing on product quality and consumer protection. So that's also for the end consumer to make sure that they are safe by consuming, and also to build a trust at the end consumer. FDA, with the Special Act of SMA, only for United States of America, comprehensive requirements for risk prevention and the traceability of the documentation. Then we have the third point, is the level of standardization and structure. So we have the ISO 22000 and the FSSC. That's based on an uniform ISO structure. It's a high-level structure which enables easy integration into other management systems. Management system based on the data structure, data format, and also process structure, which is identical and can be applied to then different other management systems in other industries. There is also the GFSI, Global Food Safety Initiative. It's not a standard, to say this again, but it's a benchmark which can be related to other competitors and also organizations that harmonize and recognize existing standards. And there are even more important differences of the regulations in the food industry. So let me break that down. So the geographical relevance of the FDA is United States of America specific, already said about that, but with an implication for companies exporting to the USA. That means if we are right now in Switzerland and we're producing some food products which we sell to the USA market, it's important that we as a company apply to the FSMA Act and regulations. Also, the next is IFS and BRC, Europe-centric with the growing global recognition. This is one of the newest regulations which gets even more recognition worldwide in the food production. Then we are focusing on traceability and quality management. SQF and FSSC is emphasizing traceability of product batches and integration of quality management aspects. That's kind of the combination of the quality management system and the production batches, and all about data and the product. And this traceability in documentation and also hands-on work. Then we have the supplementary modules and the add-ons. Just as a short notice about that, the BRC offers optional modules for specific requirements. For example, for packaging, storage, delivery types, and so on. Also, the IFS is examinable with additional modules for covering logistics and transportation. That's kind of the difference to the other regulations, which not also cover this part specifically. That's kind of the most important differences in this 9 shown regulations in food industry. So what about the compliance landscape and the consumer expectations? What we have in here is a high-end awareness and demand for transparent practices. This even for the end consumer, to know how the product got tested, where it's come from, what's included, what kind of the recipe, not exactly the recipe, what kind of the ingredients, and how the quality of this product overall. The regulations set to a benchmark for operational practices minimizing contamination risks is also one of an important point, which is comply the landscape. And we have increased pressure for audits as companies strive for compliance and certification. That's kind of the first part of the introduction of different food industry regulations, the most important ones, what they have in common, and what they separate from each other and on a high level. Let's get into the challenges of a manual inspection process. First of all, we have in here the limitations of manual inspection documentation. And I want to show you some real-life cases. We work together with our clients, and I saw them with my own eyes, and maybe you can rely on that too, or maybe recognize some of these challenges too. What we have in here is a manual storage. Difficult to store, organize, and retrieve records if they are on roll paper sheets or in a lab journal. Then we have prompt of human error and time-intensive workflows by sample preparation, labeling, handwritten labels, as this real-life case of this image with a sample. Still today, I don't know really what's written on this label and to which checkpoint of the environmental monitoring it belongs to. And it makes it really critical and also difficult to trace those data and those points. And we have manual tracking lacks real-time visibility, making immediate corrective actions difficult. What I mean is most of our clients, as they reach to us, work with Excel in combination with paper, have a lot of copy and pasting processes. And they have a blown up Excel sheet with a lot of articles and article results, test results, and need a lot of time even to do some control charts and create a dashboard out of that. But at the end, this blown up Excel spreadsheet wasn't in real time. So during the production line manager couldn't have looked into the Excel sheet to define, for instance, several parameters, to adapt it to the production parameters, to even adapt to the final product, that this is, again, within the final specification, makes it even harder. And this was a very big problem of a couple of our clients when we start working together. Then next point is the risk associated with manual process management overall. So some of our clients started, then someone left the company, or they had no resources because of high season and the production is running 24/7. And then it gets inconsistent reporting leads to gaps in the data. So even in high season is most important to keep track at best at a several point and in intervals that can be tracked. And if the production is running, especially 24/7, is really important to do then even more checkpoints and more environmental monitoring than in the low season. But overall, it should be continuous, and there should be consistent reporting of all of these tests, checkpoints, and environmental monitoring. Then one other point is missed or delayed follow-ups on quality issues due to lack of automated alerts, or it's got forgotten, or the email got in the spam folder, or got overseen, or something like that. Heard a lot of that. And it can be on a daily business that something got missed, but it's crucial. Always keep in mind for the end consumer that we keep track of all of these checks, data, and monitoring. And another real-life case is also the time-consuming preparation for audits, which can lead to higher operational costs. That can be, at the end, it gets a high risk mark in the audit, or there's something crucial and critical point which needs an expert, a consulting company, which has to look through and work together, which gets even more costs. And even the worst case scenario would be on the next slide, if there will be some impact on non-compliance or failed audits, like kind of regulatory fines, recalls, and reputation damage at the end, what's be the worst case. Or there can be also the disruption of supply chain and loss of customer confidence, also very, very badly, and worst case, never should happen to any kind of food producer. And we have the increase of operational costs and potential legal implications. What's a really, really worst case of that? We had also, we will provide a blog next week about the Chipotle Mexican Grill and how they get back into business. So they're fined for 25 million to resolve the charge stemming from more than 1,100 cases of foodborne illness, which is how do you say that? It can't be any words for that. Never should happen about this, and there should be always aware of food safety and food monitoring into food production through the whole supply chain. Good. About from the challenges, we want to give some easy to-dos and easy tools, like kind of the OneLIMS application, to enable inspection processes and makes it easier with digitalization tools. So first of all, we have the automated data entry and tracking for great efficiency. So if we can reduce paper and even Excel, there is no copy and pasting, and some results can directly entered into one single source of truth and one centralized data management system, like a LIMS. There is also then be a real-time data integration across the inspection workflow. So the whole audit trail, the whole supply chain from raw material entry through the approval of the raw material to the semi-processed material to the final product, even with packaging and logistics, can be everything tracked with test units, test plans, compliance, versioning, and change control and change management about that, even controlled through audit trail and through reporting with electronic signature. There will be all the data centralized, stores, ensures easy retrieval and traceability, as mentioned before. Also real-life images from one of our clients, which changed from handwritten labels to predefined QR code labels with some specific profiles and text on it to handle sample management much easier and reduce and minimize electronic workflows. Automated compliance documentation and reporting. How to get there is by automating documentation with predefined templates and data fields. Simplified compliance reporting for IFS, BRC, or for example, ISO and FSSC 22000, which make it easier to predefine corporate identity, corporate design reports based on certificate of analysis or purchase specifications or even technical data sheets that can be used, and also predefined labels, and mentioned before, with QR codes, barcodes, and predefined profiles. And centralized audit logs with audit trail clicks every change, every login, every data entry in a table which is not changeable, making it easier to maintain traceability and also compliant records. And we have streamlining the audit processes with OneLIMS, for example. We built the quality ecosystem, which also gets integrated in different ERP systems like SAP, Navision, Dynamics, or other popular and common ERP systems, or gets connected to a MES production system which gets the production parameters and all the settings from there, and link it to the defined batch in the quality data, or get an external connectivity to service laboratories to send your microbiology samples directly through this connection to your service lab and get then the results directly back. They can be also connected some third-party applications based on your IT and software landscapes. Mentioned here sensors, also devices from labs, and it makes really easy to search through all of your quality data and batch data and have a one-click traceability in any case of audit. Also brings this to the automated alerts for required actions to maintain compliance, to get a reminder, or I have to do a checkpoint on production for sushi, or also to raw meat poultry, which is highly risks for different of contaminations, and this should be always be aware of. Dashboard insights for monitoring key compliance metrics, also an important thing. Otherwise, it costs too much time to use the Excel spreadsheet and copy and paste data out of it and do some control charts or trend analysis. And the last point is simplified audit preparation by maintaining structured and accessible records for everyone who is responsible for any kind of working step in the food supply chain and food production can have a look and have their own roles and permission to see what is crucial for their daily business and the daily routine, and everything else is then locked or disabled. So it makes it very easy to start working with one LIMS or any other kind of LIMS to have every quality data centralized in one place and stay compliant in an easy way. Let's hop on to our last chapter about the efficiency and audit preparation and how it can look like on real-life cases. So by achieving efficiency audits with digitalized processes, where you can have a look into our case study on our website, which we produced or created together with our client Polygal in Meerstetten in Switzerland, calls the transition from manual processes to automated quality management with one LIMS. In a overall short summary, there was this transition from manual to automated processes, centralized data management for better accessibility and analysis of all of these data, to use them to meet better decisions and a better food quality or product quality. Significant time saving in trend analysis and reporting, not copy and pasting in a Word template or an Excel template for creating a certificate of analysis, technical data sheets or purchase specifications. No, it was in a couple of seconds created automatically with the predefined data and also predefined templates. Integration with internal systems to optimize inventory management and also connectivity to external service labs to enhance the workforce for or reduce the work time to handle external analyzed orders and also to handle the external results. If you are more interested, just scan the QR code and get directly to the case study on our website. Just as an add-on, Polygal produces also pharma products and different kind of material and mainly food products. So how does a best practice can look like for optimizing compliance through data analysis? We have here also real-life cases by sample preparation for regular data reviews to identify and address compliance gaps is one of important thing. Leveraging automated reports to track compliance metrics in real time. This is kind of not possible in spreadsheets or with manual data entry if we used lab journals or raw data sheets. And continuous improvements through data insights and trend analysis. We highly support this based on a mindset and also based on tools we use through our Lean Six Sigma toolbox. Can be used for multi-moment analysis, value stream mapping, or even SIPOC to track the process first, quantify them with key performance indicators, detect the bottlenecks, and then reduce them and streamline the process and keep this going. Plan, do, check, act in the DMARC cycle. So continuous improvement is also a very important tool to keep this up and running. There can be new ingredients, there can be new raw materials, there can be out of the R&D department new products which needs even a higher environmental monitoring act or even more testing and some others, even in the first time of a new product. But at the end, it's crucial to keep a continuous environmental monitoring, environmental testing, and also improvement cycle. Good. Want to give also a very short outlook about the more information which can be important and crucial and interesting for you. So based on our website, you can find more information about the different industry solutions like food and beverage. We have also for material testing labs and environmental labs, some solutions that can be adaptable and used based on our OneLIMS platform. If you want to benchmark yourself and how to test your fitness of your digitalization grade of your quality control laboratory, take the digital benchmark. Is a direct comparison with current industry leaders in Germany-speaking countries. It's all about Switzerland, Austria, and Germany, which take part of that and are bigger companies that can be compared to within this benchmark. And we also provide our LIMS Buyer's Guide, which includes all the tools, checklists, and questions that you get asked, that you ask for to get the right solution for a LIMS. There are several types on the market. There are several suppliers which has different focus. They are modular, they are flexible, they are monolithical, they are maybe big and expensive, and there are also kind of OneLIMS, which are easy to use, intuitive, set it up and ready in nearly 1 month to go. And this buyer's guide can be all that you need to find and define your LIMS if you're looking for one. Also scan a QR code to get directly to the LIMS buyer's guide. So we're already at the end of our today's webinar. So thank you very much for participating in today's webinar, and would be very delighted if we would see you again in our next event, our next webinar at the end of November. I'm looking forward to and wish you a great day and keep up the great work. See you soon. Bye-bye.